I'm going to make a lot of noise, hope you don't mind. I'm a much more boisterous principal than the others. They're very calm and collected. What do I do with this thing? Shoot it. Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Goeienaand, Mweni. Assalamu alaikum. Don't know any other greetings, I'll learn some more. My journey has been a wonderful journey. I've met many friends along the way, and seeing that after 30 years at high schools, I started at a primary school. I decided to tell my story as a little fairy tale. We know it always starts with a bit of danger. There's the dragon and the damsel in distress, and there's always a happy ending. So we're going to look at what we do now. The story is called Silele, who is my partner. Unfortunately, she can't be here this evening. She's very much in the process of building up her business. But we've met very often over tea. I've discovered things called cappuccino. I just knew about coffee. There are these fancy things. So we had this initial meeting. And of course, when you meet somebody for the first time, you've got no idea what you are going to start talking about. And as we were talking, and I think it was, you've spoken about how small the world is, and I think you talk about 6 degrees of separation. Silele was actually the acting principal at Litha Primary for a period of time.
You don't need to point.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So in fact, we shared a school. We shared a school, and she had an ultimate insight of the organizational culture, of the context of the school. Or for those of you that don't know, Litha Primary is in Gugulethu. So we had lots to talk about, because immediately there was a connection. She could relate to the infrastructure and the context. Our school was established in 1962. It's an old school, it's a small school, and we immediately could start talking about things, and this just got the conversation going. So, as things go along, and our partnership was never about money. Silele is very much in the process of developing a business. So, there was no expectation of she's going to put up a fence or build a hall for us. And I see some of the colleagues also have that wonderful hall that we have, the 2 classes joined by a door. And they call it the hall. I'll tell you about those little things at the top a little bit later. Firstly, what did Silele bring to the partnership for me? I've always thought that middle class schools relatively well resourced. And I had a number of dreams for my school. And I needed confirmation that these dreams were achievable. Why should my children in Gugulethu not achieve academically? Why should they not have extramurals? Why should they not have X, Y, and Z? There's no reason. This is what we fought for in the 1980s. This is what we battled for. And we continue with this. Our school does well in systemic. We score 80%, 90%, 60% pass rate. These are the standardized tests across all of the schools in the Western Cape. And there's something that we say at our school, and I've worked on this with Silele. We are not a township school. We are a school of excellence in a township. Our location has no difference as to what we can achieve. We've spoken about what the limits are, because of course there are real limits. We are no fee school. No parent can contribute. Every single child at my school is on the feeding scheme. We feed each and every one of them every day. Breakfast, a cooked meal, and something after school. She helped me understand the context of my school, because obviously it's a different culture, it's a different language. The level of poverty, and I think many of the colleagues have mentioned this. The level of poverty is not something that we realize every day. Things we take for granted. On a Tuesday and a Thursday, the kids get either a fruit or veg after school. Sometimes it's a raw carrot. But they are so excited to get that carrot that it's something special. And our kids will say, no, I want Kentucky, I want whatever. So it's just a reminder of this context as to how many people are living in abject poverty in our country still. She gave me a huge amount of acknowledgement. Sometimes as principals we don't know what we have achieved. We don't know what we have achieved. For the first 6 months I was at the school, I was so demotivated because I thought we were making no progress. Because I had no idea what my baseline was. We were actually making huge progress, but I didn't realize it. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. When can we get there? And yes, the day we stop believing we can improve is the day we walk out of the door. But we also need somebody to say, and this is where our business partners have come in, somebody to say to us, well done. Because the only time as principals generally we hear from anybody, whether it's from the department or from parents, it's when they think something is wrong. You haven't done this, what about this, when are we going to get this? Not realizing what we've achieved so far. And she has become my confidant, I think I'm saying that right, French. Being a principal, and colleagues can agree with me or disagree, it's a very lonely post. It's a very lonely place. Who do you speak to? Who do you speak to? There are some things you just cannot share. You need to speak to somebody. You cannot even say certain things to your deputy, because your deputy may be the problem. And very often is. And very often is. So just having that person to bounce ideas off, to talk to. And very often with Celeli and I, we'd go to the coffee shop or we'd go to Nando's. Somehow our relationship was about eating. I've just realized that now. But that kind of worked for us. And I think Cordelia raised the question, so what does the partner get out of this? I've always had a feeling that Celeli had unfinished business at Litha. There were things that she wanted to achieve at Litha. Due to circumstances, she couldn't get it done. And because she was my partner, we could do those things together. Most of her business is in the educational sphere, so she would always run business ideas past me. What do you think? How can I support schools? We're looking at literacy, we're looking at numeracy. What is it that you would need in the various sections? She looked at current training needs. I think in terms of her personality, I needed to encourage her confidence as well. Go out there and go for it. Go out there and go for it. Our society is still skewed towards, excuse me gentlemen, male-dominated businesses. Really it is. Painfully skewed. So even somebody with a vast experience and abilities of Celeli needs somebody to say, you can do it, go out, we'll network, we'll do what we need to. Gave her support. I have a very inquiring mind. I ask difficult questions sometimes, or people think I'm being difficult. I'm not. I actually try to clarify by saying, why are you saying that? Why do you do that? And we worked on that. But now, a very important thing. Does anybody know what those things are at the top? No, they're not trees, but you're almost right. You're almost right. It's something in the background. It's like a little voice. It's like your conscience. It's a bush. And it's a Nicky bush. Because that bush constantly reminds you, have you met with your partner? When last did you have a partnership meeting? It's a cool voice. It's a calm voice. But it rings in your ears all the time. So, there's the Nicky bush.
Oh, brilliant.
This is why the story is called Celeli Siddiq and the Spider's Web. Because I think many people have mentioned that what we engaged in is far more than a partnership. We tend to define a partnership as two people. Partnership is made up of many people, and I've managed to steal some of your images from Facebook, but some of you didn't submit. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that have rather, let us say, suspicious pictures of yourselves on the internet, get rid of them. Google is all seeing. I will find you. So in the middle, we've got our partnership, but we also got the other partners that we could draw on at all times. But besides our community of practice, the web is even wider. There are literally hundreds of people who belong to other webs who are willing to assist. Later on, I'll just very briefly refer to the e-learning project we have at our school, but I could get help from Old Mutual. I've got two project managers in to assist me. I had a problem with labor. I needed to get rid of somebody, because this is what the gentleman told me. You use labor to get rid of people. Oh, okay, I didn't understand that. I thought it was to correct behavior. No, sir, you use labor to get rid of people. I have succeeded due to the help which I've gotten from all of these people over there. And I think what's very important, when we look at the spider's web, and I had a huge spider's web in my garden, it's strong, it's flexible, and it's constantly evolving. And I think that's what PFP is. It's tremendously strong, but it's not rigid. It's flexible. We can change things, we can buy into other people. But the other thing is it is evolving all the time. 5 years' time is not going to be the same. It's going to be different, and a lot different. Okay, sorry. Okay, just some of the successes we had. When I arrived at Litha, it was a very dark place. It was a very unhappy place. It was a very underachieving place. This is part of our 400 square meter food garden. We harvest every 10 days, and the produce we put into the feeding scheme so that the kids get a bulked up meal, not just the normal samp and whatever it is. We add this to it. This is part of our art class. We want to offer after school art as well. City of Cape Town. City of Cape Town they try to include us in the after school game changer. This is what our classrooms look like. They were dark, unhappy, sad, uninspiring places. And you can actually see that's, and then I just like what I see on the teacher's face. And that for me is what's changed the most. It's a big smile. It's a big, big smile. Because if we're happy as teachers, or happy as a principal, the kids are going to be happy. That is our cricket pitch. That's our cricket pitch. In spite of, we still play cricket. In spite of, we still have kids getting into the Western Province cricket team. In spite of. And I think this is my biggest lesson and the biggest contribution of Selele. Believe. I think there's a film, I enjoyed it a lot, Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. And that's what we need to believe. This was grade 3. This Easter, and my grade 3 teachers just decided they were going to buy Easter eggs for the kids. Not from the school, from themselves. So they dug into their pockets. Let's do something exciting for these kids, because they have nothing. One of my ex-learners, I've been very lucky with my ex-learners. I taught at South Peninsula for 20 years, very long time ago. Most of them are grown up, and they donate a lot to my school. So the one lady donated a goodie bag for each child. Must have been about 20 rand a goodie bag. And I've got 687 children in my school. Many of them did not open the bag at school. They took it home because they've never had anything of their own before. They've taken it home to share with their siblings. So that's really what we're talking about. And for me, it's been an honor, a privilege to work with a school like this and to have the support from Selele. Oh, there we are. This is the graduation of the grade R's. Something that I had to be introduced to. I did not know this. This was a cultural thing for me that I had to learn. I had to march down the road in my best suit with my hat. Unfortunately, don't have a graduation gown anymore, and we do this for our grade R's. And that was just such a learning experience for me. It's always, I always have this thing, and people must understand it when I say, I don't believe in cultural tolerance. People look at me very strangely. It must go beyond tolerance. It must go to embracing. I must embrace cultural diversity. So I come into that school, I'm not going to say we're going to do it like this. No. What does the school do traditionally? And we will encompass that to make everybody happy. And again, Selele helped me with this. Very much so. What is acceptable culturally, what is not? What is, people are telling me, no, but culturally we do that, where they're actually giving me a story. Like Heritage Day, we have to brew cultural beer. Hybo, exactly, Hybo CC, Hybo, Icona. Of course, right at the beginning, everything was Andia's. Good answer to everything. And so we made progress. So yes, wonderful, our little drum is there. These were our grade 7s. This was one of the most wonderful days for them. They had a grade 7 farewell. We got a sponsor on board to help to pay for transport and hiring of the venue. And very special day for them. For many of them, when we have excursions, sponsored excursions, they've never been out of Guguletu. Just getting on the bus and going out is actually exciting. It's different. Okay, that man you know already. My mother would have been very proud of me because she can identify me immediately. Shirts hanging out. Shirts hanging out. But what you see here is our school, I don't know how this happened. Our school has been identified as the model e-learning school in Metropole Central. In other words, we are the only primary school who has received the level of technology that we have received. I'm talking about a small, no-fee school in Guguletu. Every single classroom is a smart classroom. In other words, it's an interactive whiteboard, there's a projector. Actually, sorry to say, it's at more advanced technology than this. No, because the magic is in the projector. We can project onto an ordinary reflective whiteboard and have a little device called an e-beam, and now it becomes interactive. And every single child in my school has their own tablet to work on. 614 children have that. Only because my partner gave me the courage to say, we can do this. We can. And not accept second-class education for our children. So they bypassed all the other schools. There's only one model e-learning school, primary school in Metropole Central, and that's us. So that's something I'm hugely proud of as well. So Lily gave me a lot of advice with how to manage, as well as the people from Old Mutual. Those are our library interns. We're fortunate enough to have a full-time librarian, as well as a library assistant and a fully stocked library in Guguletu. This is our latest project. Our children have never seen Lego before. So I put out an appeal on Facebook, and within 3 days we had 5 huge tubs of Lego, and our children just started playing with Lego. And I think those of us that are parents know the value of Lego. Fine motor skills, shape and space, and they always build something that's symmetrical. It's actually amazing. It just works for them. We gave it to them at 10 to 10, and at 2:30 we had to say to them, guys, okay, the grade 3s, you need to stop playing now because, okay, you need to go. So that's been great, and that's the kind of thing we've been able to do. Mask time. You see classrooms not overcrowded. Reading corner in every foundation phase classroom. That's the tablets that we have. Looks like a mini laptop. Very solid. All paid for by the department. This is the proudest thing I have. Our children, you will be amazed. Most of the parents in our community will have a cell phone, but not a smartphone, if you know the difference. They'll have a cell phone, but not a smartphone. So our kids don't really know pinching and stretching and swiping. Within an hour, they're doing activities on the tablets. They learn so quickly. All of their work is now on electronic books. So we will soon be phasing out actual textbooks, and they'll be working on this. There they are, hard at work. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot begin, and I'm a very emotional person. I'm sorry if I'm going to cry, but you'll just have to excuse me. I can't begin to say thank you to all of you. During this year, it's been a very challenging year for me in terms of my health. And the degree of trust that I've had in my group is that the first people I told about the challenges I had with my health was my family at home, my 2 sons and my wife. And the next lot of people was my group of business partners and principals. In fact, I've told nobody else. And that, I think, is an indication of the type of relationship that we have. I think it's a misquote, Winston Churchill. This is not the beginning of the end. It is merely the end of the beginning. Long may PFP last. Long may our partnerships last. And I thank you so much for everything that you've given to me. Giving me 1,000 Rand would not have made the difference that you've made by giving me your time. So I thank you very, very much. Baie dankie. Siyabulela. Shukran. Thank you very much, everybody.